Hey VC, it's Trevor back with another Flat Round and Spun, here to do a thread response for a new channel. But the person doing the channel is not new to the VC. This is for Richard S. Richard, he's been kind of in the VC, but kind of hiding in the crevices of comments and chats. And he finally started his own channel. At the time of this recording, he's got 2 videos. One being a really quick introduction, really good editing skills. I like that one. And the second one is the subject of what I'm doing of this thread. So, Richard, welcome. Glad to see you finally doing videos. So, let's get at it. He's trying to do a series called Take 5. And I think I did a video very similar to this a while back, so I guess I could, retread this old tire here. I think it's pretty much the same stuff as I did before, but hey, we see artists all the time redoing their songs so they can get better publishing. So, so we can call this, the topic is music that, or albums that kind of formed our collection and our musical tastes. So since I did one before, this is Trevor's version. So anyway, starting off, and I'm doing some anecdotes here. This was, I believe, probably about 1976. My mother was going to community college at the time. Don't ask me what topic, I have no idea. But she would drop us off at my grandmother's house. Well, my uncle was still living there at the time because he was young. I think he was probably in junior high at the time. So, because he was only like 9 years older than me. So I was probably in kindergarten or something at the time. So I still liked music. Really wasn't into it like I would, but this was the gate that flooded, because I was flipping through his records and I see this artwork and I was floored. And then of course it's Kiss Alive, 1975, so this is fairly new. All I saw was just the cover and I was just like completely intrigued by it. I mean, look at these guys dressed in black with the white kabuki makeup, the smoke, the lights, and come to find out it's a live record. So you put it on, you hear the crowd, and then you hear just the whole rockin' thing. And I became a major Kiss fan from that moment on. Was into them for a few years until I stopped around I was really questioning around Dynasty. When Unmasked came out, I was just like, all right, I'm done after that. So I felt like I was maturing in my taste at the time. So that was kid stuff. But then later on, I did get back into it. Okay, so next, this is kind of a 2-parter. So it's kind of a cheat, but it's an album that Richard actually shown on his video. I was very happy to see it in his video. Soundtrack, same uncle that I was just talking about a moment ago that had the Kiss record. He had this magazine / comic book always lying around the house. So I was reading these comic books, and these were not made for 7-8-year-old kids, but I was reading them. So by the time this movie came out, I was about 3 years deep in knowing what it was, and that is heavy metal. We actually saw this movie the weekend it came out in the theater. We went the Saturday, we didn't go like opening night. So we were well versed in this, and we heard the song Taking a Ride, heavy metal, I think it's what it's called. Where are we at here? Heavy Metal, Taking a Ride. That was played on the radio quite a bit when this came out, but it was this segment, because this movie had different little vignettes, if you want to call it, but like the climax of the movie was this character, which is Tarna, this awesome female warrior. And in that segment, there's like this kind of evil gang that takes over this major village. And during that scene, there's a song that up until that point, it was the heaviest thing I had ever heard in my life. And that was from Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. This is actually a different recording than this one. So I got this shortly after, borrowed it, one of the two. I think a friend of mine might have had it, and I just borrowed it and copied it. But this is what really got me into metal, was this album in particular, and this still holds a major, huge part of my heart when it comes to metal stuff. This album, as it says, it rules right there. It even says so. Mob Rules. Fantastic album, top to bottom, and it got me into Sabbath. And for a while, I mean, this was my introduction to Sabbath. I had no idea that Ozzy was even in Sabbath. I knew who Ozzy was. I just knew him as a solo artist, and it wasn't until probably about a year or two later I'm like, wait, he was in Sabbath too? Didn't realize he had that whole back catalog. So anyway, so that's Sabbath. Fast forward a couple years, in 9th grade, it's 1985, and a friend of mine knew I was into metal. I was into Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and you're always out looking for the next best thing. And a friend of mine loaned me a cassette of this album, and I had seen the name but just never heard them, and took the cassette home, and I had never heard anything that fast in my life at all. And that is Ride the Lightning from Metallica. Still the opening track, Fight Fire with Fire, still one of my favorite songs of all time. Another one, top to bottom, love this album, even though they hate the song Escape. I really wish I could talk to James, because I know he always talks down about that song. But when you're 15 and you hear that song, and you live out in the suburbs, and being a metalhead at the time, having long hair and wearing the accoutrements of being a metalhead, you weren't very welcome around there. It isn't like it is now. So when you got a chorus saying, life's for my own, to live my own way, that holds a lot to a 15-year-old. And you know what? To this day, it still does. So Metallica, Ride the Lightning. Few more years, actually a couple more years. These are friends of Metallica, and I think I told this story in another video, where a friend of mine and myself, we went cassette shopping, and he bought the first album from this band, saying they're friends with Metallica, this has got to be good. We popped it in, and we didn't like it. So I kind of wrote this band off. Until their third album came out, and they had a different singer. And I bought the album and was completely blown away, and it's still a top favorite of mine. And that is The Real Thing by Faith No More. They were heavy, melodic, funky at the time. And, at the time I was trying to, not really trying, but I was kind of widening, my parameters of what I was listening to. And this was definitely one of those albums that was different at the time of what I was listening to. Just a lot of different sounds, but still had the crunchy guitar in there to give, the heaviness that I liked. But a lot of cool stuff. Was lucky enough to see them on this tour, opening up for Robert Plant. I saw him at the Fox Theater in Detroit. Me and my friend had third row orchestra pit. We watched Faith No More and then left, because we saw Faith No More, and that's why we went. We didn't care to see Robert Plant. So I think about a year later, not even that, same year, I was working for Harmony House, as I talked about numerous times, And in the office, we had a bunch of promo discs, and I'm flipping through, and I knew the name of this band. I thought it was a punk band or like a hardcore band, and it totally wasn't. But it was my introduction to industrial music, and it's kind of an EP, kind of an LP. It's kind of like in between. But I got still the same CD I picked up almost 35 years ago. But that is the in case you didn't feel like showing up live from Ministry. This has only got 6 tracks on it. That's why I kind of consider it an EP. The thing is, many years later, Cleopatra put out this, which is pretty much the same concert, just not edited and produced. This is pretty much the raw tape of those shows that they did in, I believe is in Indianapolis or somewhere in Indiana. But it's a full concert, and it's got everything they did that night. And I actually prefer this over the major label one. And the thing is, with that tour, main man Al Jurgensen, he put together for the live setting people from other bands to do the show. So this is where I discovered Skinny Puppy, because they had Ogre in there. Martin Atkins was part of Killing Joke at the time, briefly, so I got to learn about, well, actually I kind of knew about Killing Joke. You got Chris Conley, who was on a part of a Ministry side project called Revolting Cocks. Who else is on there? Just a litany of people, but it got me into industrial, and this was more guitar oriented, but then going back, I'm hearing more of the electronic stuff too, so that's what really got me into industrial at the time. So I mean, we're kind of talking in a 10-year span of what, you know, shaped my my tastes. When I started working at the record store, it went even further there, because working there's different people with their likes, so I'm experiencing stuff that I never would have gotten if I just, you know, stuck in my little niche. So it was nice to get out of that lane and explore new stuff, but that's another video for another day. So Richard, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy doing these videos and like to see more out there, and getting to know you, and maybe we'll have you on Sunday Vinyl Confession sometime and hang out with us. I know you're on Rob's earlier today, so you're part of doing that too. So anyway, VC, everyone have a good day, a good night, good morning, whatever time you're watching this, and we will talk to you later. See ya!